welcome you. We welcome you all at this time of entering the closing months of the year. If this is your first Azkarah, or if you have been with us in the past months, if you are mourning the massive mounting death toll from all that we experienced in the world around us, if you are mourning one or more persons and losses, a death that was more recent or from long ago, if you are mourning any or all of these, you are welcome. If you are largely alone with your grief, or have a degree of company in your mourning, if you are Jewish or read Hebrew or not, if you have never been in a Jewish ritual space before, or if you are surprised to find that you are in a Jewish ritual space, or something in between, you are welcome. We are grateful to be here with you and to share this space for grief and reflection, and to perhaps comfort each other.
Candles are lit for memory in many cultures. So I invite you, if you have a candle with you, to light together with me as we form our online community for this Azkarah service of remembrance. Memory finds expression in many ways. Perhaps a photograph serves to remind you of a person, a place, a time, or a certain smell wafting through the air brings to mind this person. Perhaps it's a piece of music or another sound, the name of a place, a stretch of road as you travel along it, the taste of something, or the way it feels when you touch it. And sometimes memory seems embedded in our bodies, in the very essence of who we are, passed from generation to generation as a kind of genetic memory, like the giant green sea turtles. Every year, hundreds of giant green sea turtles swim hundreds of miles from their natural habitat on the Brazilian coast to tiny Ascension Island in the Atlantic Ocean in order to mate. For years, research and pioneer conservation biologist Archie Carr tried to understand how the turtles found their way to the island from so great a distance when even airplanes had trouble locating it. Carr's conclusions were fascinating. He claimed that the turtles navigate using genetic memory. Millions of years ago, when a strip of land bisected the Atlantic, the journey from Brazil to the closest stretch of the eastern shore was only a short swim. That land was submerged millions of years ago. But the turtles, driven by their genetic memory, still search and find the last remaining remnant of the world that disappeared, Ascension Island. Every year, they return to perpetuate the species and the memory. At this point, I invite you to share in the chat box an object or an experience that brings memories forward for you of the person or the people that you have come to remember today. And we'll take a few moments, take your time, and when you're ready, you can add something into the chat box. Eileen has shared walking a labyrinth evokes memories for her. Thank you, Eileen. I'm reminded of my dad when I smell cigars or freshly cut grass. Going to the cemetery and then to Anderson's Custard with Mike Tubin. My husband is everywhere around me, at home, at school, driving in the car. Sitting outside in the sun, in the garden with my dad. My mother's hands and how she held them the same way I do. Beautiful. Thank you so much for those sharings. And Deborah has one more here. My husband's eternal presence. Thank you, everybody. And now, Rabbi John is going to share a little bit of another scientific type approach to that eternal presence.
I would like to begin with a short reading. It's actually a letter that was written by Albert Einstein to the family of a friend of his. And I think it speaks to actually some of the comments that we just heard, particularly around the ideas of connectedness, the sense of somebody being present, being around us. And Einstein wrote to Michel Besso's family that now that he has departed from this, as he called it, strange world, a little before he has, that means nothing. People like us, he wrote, who believe in physics, know the distinction between past, present, and future is only a stubbornly persistent illusion. And I want to note that within the Jewish tradition, science has held a prominent place, particularly if you look into the area of medieval Jewish philosophy. And some of you may be familiar with that field through Moses Maimonides, one of our greatest philosophers, a later philosopher by the name of Gersonides. For both of these individuals and all other medieval Jewish philosophers, science was the best way to know God. It was the only way to know God. To learn physics, to learn astronomy, to learn chemistry, to learn about the human body was a way to know the divine. And that never really left Judaism. There was a separation in other Western religions, a dichotomy between science and religion. But Judaism, for the most part, has always upheld that science itself is, in one way or another, integral to who we are as a Jewish people and also to our religion as well. And particularly here in the Bay Area, where we tend to be very well educated, often questioning. Some of us may be theistic, some of us a little less theistic and are thinking about God. I think it is nice to remember that science holds this prominent place within our tradition. So with this in mind, I would like to share with you a vidui. It's usually a prayer that we say towards the end of life, but I wanted to share it during today's Azkarah memorial because it's a good reminder, I think, of not only the aspects of science within the tradition, but also our place within the cosmos. The body may stop a cell at a time, but the brain keeps firing those neurons, little lightning bolts like fireworks inside. I remember that every atom in my body was forged in a star. This matter, this body, is mostly empty space after all. And solid matter is just energy vibrating very slowly. The electrons of my body mingle and dance with the electrons of the ground below me and in the air that I breathe. And I remember there is no point where any of that ends or I begin. I remember that I am energy, my name, my personality, my choices are all came before me. I was before them, and I will be after. And everything else is pictures picked up along the way, fleeting dreamlets, printed on the tissue of my brain. And I am the lightning that jumps between. I am the energy firing the neurons, and I will be returning. Just by remembering, I'm returning home, like a drop of water falling back into the ocean of which it originally was a part. All things a part. All of us a part. You, me, my father, my mother, everyone who's ever been, every planet, every animal, every atom, every star and every galaxy, all of it. More galaxies in the universe than grains of sand on a beach. And that's what I'm talking about when I say God. The one, the cosmos and its infinite dreams. We are the cosmos dreaming of itself. It's a wish. Life is a wish, made again and again and again and again. Onto eternity. I am all of it. I am everything. I am all. I am that I am. I will be what I will be. I create what I create. Ehyeh, Asher, Ehyeh. May my acts give love to others, and my forgiveness strengthen the bonds which unite us. May any hurts I have caused be cleansed in the vast ocean of our connectedness.
I'll give you a moment now to sit with that. And if you want to add something to the chat, you may take a moment now to do that as well. Thank you, John, for that beautiful teaching. Einstein has been a real inspiration to us as we planned this gathering. So I want to share another reflection from Einstein when he was writing another letter of comfort. And Einstein was writing to the Queen Elizabeth of Belgium upon the sudden deaths of both her husband and her daughter-in-law. And he wrote, "And yet, as always, the springtime sun brings forth new life, and we may rejoice because of this new life and contribute to its unfolding. And Mozart remains as beautiful and tender as he always was and always will be. There is, after all, something eternal that lies beyond the hand of fate and of human delusions." And so I actually have an opportunity for us to dwell within these beautiful words of Einstein and Rabbi John in the realm of, as Einstein writes, the Mozart that remains as beautiful and as tender as ever.
I would like to now continue with a poem which is entitled, "We Remember Them." It was written by Rabbi Sylvia Kamen and Jack Reimer. It also speaks to this idea that in some way, someplace, somehow, the person who has died, who has meant something to us in our lives, is connected to us. It is a responsive reading, so I invite you to respond after each line with the words, either we remember them, which is part of the poem, or you can say the name of the person who you are remembering. You will be on mute as I read the poem, but Abra will be reciting the responsive part as written. But again, please feel free to say the name of the person or persons you may be remembering today. In the rising of the sun and in its going down,
we remember them.
in the blowing of the wind and in the chill of winter,
we remember them.
In the opening of buds and in the rebirth of spring,
we remember them.
In the blueness of the sky and in the warmth of summer,
we remember them.
In the rustling of leaves and in the beauty of autumn,
we remember them.
In the beginning of the year and when it ends,
we remember them.
When we are weary and in need of strength,
we remember them.
When we are lost and sick at heart,
we remember them.
When we have joys we yearn to share,
we remember them.
So long as we live, they too shall live, for they are now a part of us as
we remember them. We'll take a moment of silence now, and if you'd like to write in the name or the name and the relationship of anyone you are remembering this afternoon, we welcome you to do that. Thank you, everyone, for sharing. Now I invite Rabbi John Summer to lead us in the traditional Jewish recitation of Kaddish.
the Kaddish Yatom. Yikadal v'yikadash shemei rabbah, v'almad yivrach hirute v'yamlich malchute, v'chayachon uvyomechon uv'chaye dechol beit Yisrael, v'agalah uvizman kariv v'yimru. Amen. Yehi shmei rabbah mevarach le'olam umei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitba'ar v'yitroman v'yitnaseh. Vit Hadar, Vit Ale, Vit Halal, Shemei Dekudisha, Rihu. Leila min kol birchata v'shirata. Tush b'chata v'nechlamata. Da'imiran ba'alma, v'imru. Amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shemaya. V'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael, v'imru. Amen. Osei shalom b'romav. Hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu v'al kol Yisrael, v'imru. Amen.
May the source of peace bring peace to us to all Israel, and to all who mourn. And together, let us say,
Amen.
Amen. I invite you now, if you are comfortable, to turn on your camera or able to invite you to do so, that in order that we can all see who is in this circle together today. I want to thank you all for joining us today. As a gesture of greeting and of warmth, I invite you to put one hand on maybe your heart or your belly or your shoulder or your forehead, anywhere that is you. And with your other hand, to reach out as if you were touching the other people in all of these beautiful windows filled with the lives of everyone here today and the lives of all that we are remembering. The spirit, the essence, the power of the universe. Look and see how we are all connected, all reaching out to each other across the distances of time and space, and Einstein's beautiful concept of space-time continuum. Nechula Shalom. May you go on into the remainder of today and your tomorrows with a measure of light, a measure of comfort, and in shalom. We encourage you to visit our website for additional resources and support. I'm going to sing us out with a closing nigun melody. Feel free to hum along and to sing with me quietly while you're muted, and then to sign off whenever you are ready. Thank you again for creating this circle with us today. Oh, say shalom bimroma. Huya se shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imru amen. Ya'aseh shalom, ya'aseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Ya'aseh shalom, ya'aseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yai dai 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 dai. Yai dai 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 dai. Yai dai 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 dai. Yai dai dai. Yai dai dai dai. Yai dai 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 dai. Yai dai 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 dai. Yai dai 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 dai. Yai 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 dai 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 dai. Yai dai dai dai.